Good evening and welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Alex Lord. The Braves are the hottest team in baseball, owners of MLB's best record, and that's without three All-Stars. And one of the biggest reasons is Orlando Arcia. Now, we give Alex Anthopoulos all of his flowers because he deserves it. He's not just one of the best GMs in baseball. He's one of the best general managers in all of sports. Baseball is difficult because you have so many levels to think about. You got literally 4 minor league levels, not even including rookie ball. You got the ball, you got the scouts part of it, you got the developmental part of it. And he just seems to not even have a blind spot at any of it. We can talk about trades, we can talk about free agent negotiations, we can talk about the extensions he gets done early and how they have all panned out. It's really a testament to how good he is as a general manager. But I want to talk about one of the biggest reasons why the Braves have been so successful early on, even without 3 All-Stars, and that's Orlando Arcia, who I think you could make an argument is the best trade acquisition that the Braves have made since Alex Anthopoulos became the general manager. And there's a lot of good ones. I mean, you can talk about Matt Olson. That was highway robbery. You can talk about the 2021 deadline, Soler, Adam Duvall, Jock Peterson, all those guys. Huge, great deals. But in terms of bang for your buck, you got a starting all-star caliber shortstop from a year ago who's playing that level again this year. You not only get him for nothing, the Brewers basically gave him to you for free. He becomes your starting shortstop. You extend him for 3 years, $7.3 million. Like, do you realize how big of a bargain it is to have an all-star caliber shortstop for $2 million or less that isn't on a rookie deal?
It's invaluable is what it is. And you could certainly make the argument that it's the best trade of Alex Anthopoulos' tenure. I would argue it, but I would hear out if you had to argue it. And it's great because the fact is he's going to regress offensively. There's no arguing that because he's hitting, 350 or something?
377.
Yeah, so he's going to regress, obviously. But his defense is upper echelon, pinnacle of the position, arguably the hardest position defensively to play, up there with catcher, up there with center field. It's incredibly important. It was the biggest concern last offseason coming into the season. Would Vaughn Grissom step into the role? Everybody was very high on the kid. He came up. It was Orlando Arcia who won the job. Everybody scratching their heads thinking, this guy who's been below average for much of his career with the stick, well, I guess he'll be serviceable defensively. It doesn't. No, he comes out and shows you exactly why the Braves made him the starter. And if you needed more convincing, last year, Vaughn Grissom, when Orlando Arcia got hurt, Vaughn Grissom came up, and then he showed you why Orlando Arcia was the correct choice. And then to even further solidify Orlando Arcia's place in the organization, they shipped Vaughn Grissom to Boston in exchange for Chris Sale. And it's magical. And when he does regress, it's going to be, I think, not even that big of a deal because, one, obviously, the rest of the lineup will pick him up. But he is so good defensively that in terms from a WAR perspective, he's still going to be a more than plus player. Like, it's been such a gem of a find, which is crazy because Milwaukee, I mean, for all intents and purposes, he was a disappointment considering the hype of him as a prospect.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it in terms of the best trade acquisition. You could make a very, very solid argument that bang for your buck. All of these contracts included Ronald Acuna 10 for 100, Ozzie Albies 5 for 35, Matt Olson 8 for 162. All of the contracts that you're like, oh, this is a bargain. You could make an argument that the biggest bargain of all of them is the fact that the Braves have a starting shortstop that could potentially be an all-star for a second straight year for $2 million a year. I mean, the WAR that you get out of him, bang for your buck, at $2 million is probably the most valuable, strictly if you just went from that perspective, of any player on this roster, a roster that's filled with bargain contracts that Alex Anthopoulos has filled out. It's one of those things where,
and if you're talking
about everything this guy touches turns to gold.
And if you're talking about it from a war to war perspective, what the Braves gave up versus what they got, it's also up there in terms of the trades. Like Sean Murphy war to war is not even close because of Wild Bill Contreras is, he's got his hair on fire up there in Milwaukee. We all love to see it. You could argue Matt Olson because they didn't really get anything.
Well, they got Langoliers, and Langoliers is good.
Oh, there you go. And Joe Jimenez, we all think Justin Henry Malloy is eventually going to be a big piece of a major league team or a contributing piece. You could argue that Orlando Arcia, in terms of what the Braves gave up versus what they got from a war-to-war perspective, is also one of the top trades in Alex Anthopoulos'
Yeah, I mean, it's the one move, and I give Alex Anthopoulos a lot of credit, and he's going to get into the national media for the big trades, and he's going to get in the national media for the long-term extensions that seem like bargains with Strider and Harris and Acuna and Albies. But it's these kind of deals that really set him apart, I think, from the rest of the league. And it's not just the trades for Orlando Arcia. It's the acquisitions of smaller pieces. It's the Adam Duvall's for $3 million. It's the Jared Kelenics for basically a salary dump if he turns out and pans out the way. It's the guys that have come through this organization. I mean, Jock Peterson was traded for Bryce Ball. Jorge Soler, I don't even remember who he was traded for. But you
Alex
basically
Jackson, I think.
No, that was Adam Duvall. But like
a different year.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's these small deals that basically you're getting these guys for free, and they come in and they're huge pieces of your organization. I mean, Adam Duvall has been here for 3 years basically because of that 2021 trade back to Atlanta.
You know what is an interesting aspect / storyline that I haven't seen anybody talk about, and maybe if you have, I just haven't seen it. Orlando Arcia, first half All-Star. Everybody's like, wow, Alex Anthopoulos did it again. Second half regresses severely in the postseason. Attaboy Harper, for all intents and purposes, he became the butt of baseball, the butt of the joke of baseball, because everybody's watching. Bryce Harper, obviously stud, goes out there and does what he does. Most people would probably shrink the next season in that moment where they're kind of like, oh no, tail tucked, not confident, he's out there having fun, smiling, joking, slapping butt, still playing great baseball. So I in terms of like, obviously on-field value, but off-field value, it's just another one of like Alex Anthopoulos' team chemistry is so important. Orlando Arcia is such a big critical piece of that formula off the field as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'd find, and me included in this, a lot of people were upset with Orlando Arcia. A lot of people were upset with the way that the Braves as a team handled that situation where they kind of tucked their tails during that series. But you're right. I mean, he's bounced back splendidly. And we talk about Marcell Ozuna and whether this is who he is. Well, I think Orlando Arcia has proven this is who he is. Now, he's not the 377 guy with a 162 WRC plus, but he is a guy that can go out there and be a well above average starting shortstop and a very, very valuable piece to a championship team that, oh, by the way, you're paying $2 million, which he might be the cheapest guy that's not on a rookie quarterback playing at the shortstop position, and he's making all-star teams for you. And right now he's carrying the Atlanta Braves offense, and I hope it continues, and I hope he makes back-to-back all-star games because what a story that would be.